Ever pondered what might lead a community to wage a war against another? What were the stakes involved in the Battle of Khaybar? In the year 628 in the Common Era, the arid lands of the Arabian Peninsula bore witness to a significant armed confrontation known as the Battle of Khaybar. This was not a random act of violence, but a complex tapestry of events that had been weaving itself for years. At the heart of this confrontation were two communities: the early Muslims, led by the Prophet Muhammad, and the Jewish community of Khaybar. The town of Khaybar, located northwest of Medina, was not just a geographical location, but a symbol of the deep-seated tension between these two communities. On one hand, the early Muslims were in the grip of fear. Their apprehensions were not baseless, but rooted in the political landscape of the time. They were keenly aware of the potential alliances between the Jewish community and the non-Muslim Arabian tribes. Such alliances could tip the balance of power and pose a threat to the Muslim community. On the other hand, the Jewish community of Khaybar was not without its concerns. Economic rivalries were simmering under the surface. The wealth of Khaybar, largely attributed to the Jewish community, was a bone of contention. The Muslim community saw this wealth as a potential source of economic imbalance. These layers of tension, political, religious and economic, were like dry wood waiting for a spark. And the Battle of Khaybar was that spark. It was a confrontation that was as much about survival and power as it was about ideologies and beliefs. As these tensions reach a boiling point, the stage is set for a significant confrontation. The stage is set for the Battle of Khaybar. The moment of truth arrives as the battle lines are drawn and the fight begins. The Battle of Khaybar was not a simple clash of swords. Rather, it was a complex dance of strategy, courage, and sheer will. The air was thick with tension, each side knowing that their future hung in the balance with every move they made. The Muslims, led by Muhammad, had marched on Khaybar fearing potential Jewish alliances with non-Muslim Arabian tribes. Their approach was tactical and nuanced. They focused on isolating and capturing individual fortresses, using a combination of siege warfare and direct assault. This tactic put the Jewish defenders on the back foot, forcing them to fight on multiple fronts and stretching their resources thin. Significant figures played pivotal roles in this battle. Muhammad, the Muslim leader, was not just a figurehead, but an active participant, making key decisions that determined the flow and outcome of the battle. On the Jewish side, the defenders showed remarkable resilience, holding their ground and fighting back with all they had. Their resistance was fierce, but the odds were stacked against them. Both sides faced substantial challenges. For the Muslims, the fortified structures of Khaybar posed a significant obstacle. They had to adapt their tactics, finding ways to breach these defenses without suffering heavy losses. For the Jews, the challenge was the sheer number of their adversaries and the intensity of their attack. With each passing day, their situation grew more desperate. In response to these challenges, both sides showed remarkable ingenuity and courage. The Muslims used a combination of patience and relentless pressure to wear down the defenses of Khaybar. The Jews, despite being outnumbered, mounted a determined defense, using their knowledge of the terrain and their fortifications to their advantage. Yet, as the battle raged on, the outcome became increasingly clear. Despite the fierce resistance, Khaybar fell to the Muslims. In the aftermath of the battle, what was the fate of the conquered and the conquerors? A question which takes us deep into the repercussions of the Battle of Khaybar. The terms of surrender brokered between the early Muslims and the Jewish community were far from ordinary. The spoils of war, including the wealth of the Jewish community, were seized by the victors. This was not a mere act of avarice, but a strategic move to consolidate power and distribute resources among the Muslim community. But the surrender brought more than just material gains. It also marked the imposition of a tribute known as jizya on the Jewish community. This wasn't a punishment or a means of subjugation, but rather a pragmatic approach to governance. The tribute was levied in return for protection provided by the Muslim rule and the right for the Jewish community to continue practicing their religion. The defeated Khaybar Jews were not expelled or annihilated. Instead, they were allowed to continue their existence in the region under the Muslim rule. This decision, far from being a mere act of mercy, was a profound demonstration of tolerance and coexistence that would later become a cornerstone of Islamic rule. The aftermath of the Battle of Khaybar did more than just redraw the map of the region. It also set a precedent for Islamic law. The terms of surrender and the levying of tribute from non-Muslim subjects became a part of Islamic jurisprudence. This model of governance, born out of the necessities of war, evolved into a system that sought to balance power and responsibility, rights and obligations, a model that would be replicated in the years to come. The Battle of Khaybar, a significant chapter in early Islamic history, leaves behind a lasting legacy. It's a story of strategic victories, diplomatic negotiations, and a unique model of governance that finds relevance even today. It's a testament to the fact that the echoes of history continue to resonate through the corridors of time, shaping our understanding of the world and its past. So, what can we learn from the Battle of Khaybar? The clash, taking place in 628 CE, was a pivotal moment in history, marking a turning point in the relationship between Muslims and Jews in the Arabian Peninsula. The confrontation was sparked by a cocktail of fear, suspicion, and economic rivalry. It was not merely a battle, but a complex, interwoven tapestry of socio-political dynamics and religious tensions. The surrender of the Jewish community of Khaybar to the Muslims, led by Muhammad, set a precedent for Islamic law, creating a model for tribute from non-Muslim subjects. The battle's outcome, where the defeated were allowed to continue living under the rule of the victors, was a significant departure from the winner-takes-all approach typical of the time. This battle underscores how religion, power, and economics have often been intertwined in history, and how fear and suspicion can lead to conflict. It also offers a lens to understand the ways in which societies navigate difference and diversity. In the annals of history, the Battle of Khaybar remains a poignant reminder of the complex interplay of power, religion, and economics.